Good morning. This is Dr. Yogita Beri, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics, Vasanta College for Women, Rajghat, Varanasi. Today, I am going to discuss about the public enterprises in India. In this lecture, I'll discuss the importance of public enterprises, their role in economic development, and problem faced by these enterprises. If we are talking about the public sector enterprises, then the enterprises, those who are managed, controlled, and owned by the central or state government, are known as public sector enterprises. They are very important for the economic development of a country. At the time of independence, there were very few public enterprises like some departmental undertaking like railways, post and telegraph, defense, etc. Over the year, the government and the economists work hard to lay the foundation for the development of the public enterprises in India. Now, what are the objectives behind the establishment of the public enterprises in India? The very first objective is to generate financial resources for economic development. Second objective is to promote redistribution of income and wealth. The next is to create employment opportunity. The fourth one is to promote balanced regional development. To encourage the development of small scale and ancillary industries are the next objective behind the establishment of public sector enterprises. And the last one is to accelerate export promotion and import substitution. So these were few objectives behind the implementation or establishment of the public sector unit in our country. Now, coming to the types of public enterprises, there were three major broad category of the public sector enterprises. The first one is departmental undertaking like post and telegraph, railways, all India rail, radio, etc. The second category is statutory corporation, food corporation of India, industrial finance corporation of India, life insurance corporation of India were a few example of statutory corporations. The last category is known as government companies. Hindustan Machine Tools Limited, Steel Authority of India Limited, Hindustan Shipyard Limited. These were the few examples of the government company. Now, coming to the role of the public enterprises in Indian economy. If you are talking about the role of public enterprises in Indian economy, then the very first role is the generation of income. Public sector in India has been playing a definite positive role in generating income in the economy. The share of public sector in net domestic product at current prices has increased from 7.5% in 5051 to 21.7% in 2003-4. The second major role is known as a capital formation. Public sector has been playing an important role in gross domestic capital formation of our country. The share of public sector in gross domestic capital formation has increased from 3.5% during the first plan to 9.2% during the eighth plan. And the third major role is the employment generation. These public sector units are playing important role in generating employment. If we are talking about the categories of employment generation, then public sector is generating two basic type of employment. The first one is known as a government administration, defense, and other government services employment. And the second is known as employment in the public sector economic enterprises, both at center and the state level. Sometimes the local bodies also create some employment opportunities. The fourth major role is known as the infrastructure, because without the development of infrastructural facility, economic development is impossible. The public sector investment on infrastructure sector like power, transportation, communication, basic and heavy industries, irrigation, education, and technical training, etc., has given the way for agricultural and industrial development of the country, leading to the overall development of the economy as a whole. Private sector investment are also depend on these infrastructural facilities developed by the public sector units in our country. The fifth major role is termed as strong industrial base. We can simply say that it has successfully built the strong industrial base in the country. The industrial base of the economy is now considerably strengthened the development of the industries in a public sector as well as in a private sector unit. If you are talking about a public sector, then the various fields like iron and steel, coal, heavy engineering, heavy electricity, machinery, petroleum and natural gas, fertilizers, chemical drugs, etc. These were the sectors which were given the strong industrial base to the economy. The next major role is a checking concentration of economic and income and wealth in the economy. Expansion of public sector enterprises in India has been successfully checking the concentration of economic power into the hands of a few, and thus they are redressing the problem of inequality of income and wealth of the economy. Thus, the public sector can reduce this problem of inequality through diversion of profit for the welfare of the poor people. And if you are talking about the next major role, then the removal of regional disparity. From the very beginning, industrial development in India was very much skewed toward certain big port cities like Mumbai, Kolkata, and Chennai. In order to remove regional disparity, the public sector tried to disperse various units toward the backward states like Bihar, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh, etc. So, in this way, we can say these public sector enterprises plays very important role in the economic development of a nation. Now, coming to the problems faced by the public sector enterprises. If you're talking about the problems, and there were so many problems faced by these public sector enterprises, and that is why day by day their efficiency is decreasing. The first major problem is a bureaucratic management. The organization are run by the bureaucrats who may not have a knowledge of running an enterprise or knowledge of the industry trends and practices. The second major problem is a lack of autonomy. These enterprises lack freedom and flexibility. They are subject to control by the politicians and bureaucrats. Due to this, their performance is also affected. The third major problem is delay in decision. Decisions are delayed due to the red tapeism, bureaucratic procedures. A file may have to pass through many officials for approval before a decision can be taken. By the time a decision is taken, the business environment might have undergone considerable change. The third major problem is unplanned production. Many of the public sector enterprises produce products which are not in tune with the market demand. The need of the consumer are not taken into account while planning production. The result is poor sale, and the organization is left with huge unsold stock, which are then disposed of at a discount. The next major problem is no clear cut price policy. There is no clear cut price policy of the public sector enterprises. Certain organizations follow a cost plus price policy, some administrative pricing policy. Few organizations are following a dual price policy. So there is no clarity regarding the pricing policy of a public sector enterprises. High overhead capital. The next major problem is many of these organizations incur high overhead capital. There is a very little focus on the cost control and cost reduction. Wastage of resources are too much. Many organizations even maintain entire township and incur high cost. The next major problem is overstaffing. The salary cost and pension cost of many of these organizations are very high, and it is because government consider these organizations as generation of employment, and many of them are overstaffed. The next major problem is poor productivity. Due to reliance on automated technology, lack of upgradation and inefficiency, low level of employee motivation, and poor work culture, the productivity of many of these enterprises is quite low. Poor work ethic is the next major problem. Employees of the public sector enterprises enjoy job security. In many enterprises, there are strong labor union with political affiliation to protect domestic employees' interest. The last major problem is lack of proper planning. Planning is poor, and in some cases, even it is absent. Projects are commenced without detailed analysis and planning, and this results in the losses and delays. So these were few major problems faced by the public enterprises in India. Thank you.